Hi Mark, thanks for coming here to talk to us about some alcohol issues on Auburn's campus today. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell us what you do at the university?
My name is Mark Silvestri. Right now, I am a third-year student in the clinical psychology program here at Auburn. My main area of interest, my main area of expertise, I guess, is looking at substance use among college students. More specifically, I'm interested in looking at the impact of the environment, so like where students drink at and how that impacts how much they consume. It's like comparing a bar versus a house party versus theme parties, things like that. More recently, I've actually been interested in looking at drinking games. We just wrapped up a study that had students play a simulated version of beer pong in the lab to determine how much they might actually consume when they play a game of beer pong. So it's pretty interesting stuff, and it's kind of fun because it's really easy to get students to participate in it. And I really enjoy it too. I mean, I tell people I research beer pong, and they ask me, "Are you really going to school for something real?" So it's been a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed it so far.
Well, that's great. Well, I just have a couple of questions for you today to try to help the Auburn students get a little expert insight into, the things that they choose to do when they drink and maybe some better choices that they can make to help them stay safer. So, what are some of the most common mistakes that you see students making when they do choose to drink?
I would say like one of the biggest ones that I've seen just through my work and clinical and research work is students drinking a lot in a short amount of time. Maybe it's through like lack of experience or just observing other people and how they drink. But sometimes when a student drinks, they'll do like one shot and they won't feel it right away. So then they'll do another shot and another shot and another shot. Eventually, like an hour or so later, all those shots kind of hit them at once, and they tend to feel the effects a lot more heavily than if they were to space those drinks out in a given amount of time. So the intoxicating effects of alcohol kind of hit them all at once, and it kind of minimizes more of those pleasant effects that people do like about drinking, kind of like the lightheaded buzz, the euphoria, relaxation. You lose a lot of that when you drink a lot in a short amount of time. Kind of increase that risk of like blacking out or getting sick a lot sooner in the night.
Okay. All right. And can you tell us a little bit from your program, kind of some of the psychological effects of blacking out?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is just concern and stress on the person the next morning. So they wake up and they have this sudden, oh my gosh, what just happened last night? I don't know how I got into my bed. I don't know where I'm at right now. And it almost sends them into a panic mode where they're checking their cell phone, they're seeing who they called, if they made any texts. And they got to go back and try and put the pieces together from the night before. So they're talking to their friends, they're talking to their buddies, trying to get an idea of what happened. And that can be a scary feeling because there's a part of your night that's completely missing, that you don't know what you did or what happened or who you talked to or what you said.
Right.
So for a lot of students, that can be a really scary feeling.
Okay. Well, thanks. Well, along with some of the common mistakes that students make when they choose to drink, there are some more dangerous choices that can be made. And, we've seen that a lot through some of the statistical measures that we've taken from Auburn students. And can you tell us, like, what are some of the common very dangerous thing that students do when they drink?
Yeah, one of the big ones that I've actually seen is mixing alcohol with prescription drugs. People have this perception that if it's a prescription drug, it's okay to take under any circumstance. That's not really the case. So you think of like medication for like ADHD, like Ritalin, Adderall, Concerta, for example. Those are all stimulant medications, and sometimes people will drink while they're on these stimulant medications. Since alcohol is a depressant, it kind of slows down your body, but then you also have this stimulant. So basically you kind of have these antagonist drugs acting on your body. While you're drinking, you're going to feel really awake, you're going to feel good, you're not going to really feel a lot of the effects of alcohol. So you continue drinking, you continue to drink a lot more. But as soon as that stimulant wears off, you're going to feel the effects of alcohol all at once. So a lot of students do tend to report when they take Adderall, Ritalin, Concerta, whatever it is, in a given night, they usually black out at some point. It's because once that stimulant starts to wear off, the alcohol kind of hits them all at once.
Okay. All right. So we've talked about some negative consequences like blacking out and then, combining the prescription drugs with alcohol. But are there any other negative consequences that you see that maybe don't go along with those traditional forms of dangerous effects of alcohol that can be seen on college campuses?
Yeah, I think the big one that I see a lot is just doing something regrettable, doing something that you normally wouldn't do while you were sober. For a lot of students, it might be hooking up with somebody that you didn't want to hook up with, or getting into a fight with your best friend over something that wasn't even worth fighting about in the first place. Even though you might not have blacked out that night or gotten that drunk that night, you still kind of have that sense of guilt the next morning over something that could have been avoided. So for a lot of students, that can be really problematic as time goes on, because they don't want to be that person in their group of friends that people have to keep an eye out for when they go out. They want to make sure, okay, let's make sure so-and-so doesn't get into a fight tonight. Let's make sure so-and-so, isn't throwing up at the bar tonight. We want to make sure they're taken care of. A lot of people want to try and avoid becoming that friend, so to speak. So that's one thing that we do hear from a lot of students, is doing something that they really regret the next day.
Okay. All right. Well, what are some of the steps that you think that students can take to have a safer experience if they do choose to drink, to try to avoid doing things that are, regrettable later, or blacking out, or things like that?
I think one of the biggest things is to space your drinks out in a given night. Sometimes when we drink, we kind of have this excitement, this level of impulse. It's like, I want to drink a lot right now. It's going to be so much fun just to shotgun a beer or do a bunch of shots, whatever it takes to get me drunk right away. And the important thing is just to kind of inhibit that impulse a little bit. Be able to delay that gratification you get from drinking. So space your drinks out. It's going to allow you to keep that same good feeling that you get with alcohol. You'll still have that sense of euphoria. You'll still feel pretty relaxed. You'll still be a little bit talkative and outgoing. But you won't get to the point where you're slurring your speech or stumbling around or feeling nauseous by any means. So spacing your drinks out in a given day or in a given night is one way to kind of help you get the most out of drinking while still minimizing the possibility of some of those negative consequences.
Okay. Well, that's really good advice for a lot of our college students, I think, especially some of our younger college students. But do you have any personal words of wisdom or pieces of advice to give our college students today that would help them have a safer time?
I'm not that far removed from undergrad, so just looking back on my undergrad and looking back at the work that I've done so far with the Health Behavior Assessment Center, I realize a lot of mistakes that students make is just drinking excessive amounts and making bad decisions when they drink. Kind of that level of impulse gets peaked up sometimes in undergrad when you're surrounded by a lot of people. Maybe there's a celebration going on. You feel like you need to drink a lot in order to make that moment or that celebration even more enjoyable. When in reality, that isn't always the case. So still enjoying yourself when you do drink, but keeping track of how much you're actually drinking in a given night. Just knowing that will help give you feedback about when to stop, when to say, all right, I don't need to have this 7th or 8th beer. I can slow down right now. Maybe alternate between an alcoholic beverage and a non-alcoholic beverage as well.
Okay. All right. Well, you've given us a lot of good information today about how to stay safe while you're drinking in college. But if students have any questions or they'd like to explore this topic further with you or someone else who might work with you, can you tell them where best to get help with these issues or get advice about drinking?
Yeah, there's a few places on campus actually, which I really like about Auburn. There's a lot of different resources you can go to for mental health or for substance use counseling. The first one is the Health Behavior Assessment Center, commonly referred to as HBAC. It's located in Auburn University Psych Services Center in Cary Hall. It's free for Auburn students if you refer yourself. If you're referred for like a game day violation, like you bring alcohol into Jordan-Hare or you're drunk at the game, then if you're referred for that, you may have to pay a fee. There's usually a disciplinary fee associated with it. We also have Student Counseling Center here on campus as well. That's free for all Auburn students. That's located right above the medical clinic. So those are just two areas or two resources that you can use to help if you do want to get treatment or do want to get assistance with alcohol.
Okay. Well, thank you so much.
No
I
problem.
really
Thanks for having
appreciate
me.
it. And we'll be seeing you soon here at Health Promotion and Wellness Services.
Thanks.